This is 7 News, the voice of the border.
Tonight, a leaked email shows the extent of bed pressure at Albury base.
A weekend getaway ends badly for a ute driver towing a caravan.
And bright bursting at the seams with 20,000 expected for the Rod Run.
7 News begins now.
Good evening. A leaked email from Albury Hospital has shown the extent of the bed squeeze.
Internal data gives a daily snapshot of the hospital's lack of beds and other resources.
More leaks from staff at the hospital, providing what critics say is proof the hospital needs a major shake-up to provide adequate care to the community. This time it's an email sent to staff yesterday. It says the acute inpatient units are currently significantly compromised in the areas of access and flow. Showing yesterday the hospital started with 35 fewer beds than it needed. And former exec Tanya Finnan says the emergency we have now is critical.
If you don't have enough capacity in those wards, so surgical wards, acute wards, medical wards, you've just got nowhere for people to flow through to and to have the care that you deserve.
A nurse who wants to remain anonymous leaked the email to 7 News to prove the extent of pressure staff are under. A doctor who's treated patients on the border for decades, Phil Steele, says this is every day, not out of the ordinary. Dr Steele joins the chorus of people who say the pressure on border health services is unsustainable, saying it's horrific to see that yesterday 25 people were waiting for emergency surgery first thing in the morning. It's clear to many that what the hospital needs is more beds.
There was a large sum of money spent on planning for modular wards, but we haven't seen that come to fruition.
The hospital's 2022 annual report shows tens of thousands of dollars were approved for a company, Modscape Commercial, to plan for temporary structures to take more patients. But today they don't exist. Today, as the finishing touches were put on the new ED, one of Canberra's loudest voices weighed in on the plans for the redevelopment.
At one stage it said either a greenfield or a brownfield, then it said a greenfield. So I just don't have any confidence in what is in that plan in terms of linking it to this community's needs.
This latest development has also highlighted the pressure that thunderstorm asthma patients are putting on the ED. That should be no deterrent to sufferers, though. They're urged to get care as soon as symptoms arise. Albury-Wodonga Health declined an offer to comment on the leaked email, but spoke on thunderstorm asthma, saying North East residents should take precautions and develop an asthma action plan with their GP. Jacqueline Stanley, 7 News.
A driver was lucky to escape injury after his ute and caravan ended up in a ditch on the side of the Hume Freeway. Emergency services were called to the crash just after 10:30 this morning after the ute towing a caravan and a truck collided. The accident happened near the McCoy Street intersection northbound. It left the caravan on its side in the rail corridor and the vehicle damaged. Traffic was reduced to one lane as crews cleaned up the mess, but police say it's a timely reminder for drivers to be safe on our roads.
Make sure people take plenty of breaks and revive themselves, have their driver revivers and pay attention to the road around them.
Police are investigating how the accident happened.
High-level support has been thrown behind a major facelift and expansion of the Lauren Jackson Sports Stadium. The Federal Shadow Minister for Regional Development visited the site today with plans for the upgrade, including a year-round aquatic centre.
A stadium spruce up with big backing, but still years away.
So it's got like a indoor pool with a learn to swim pool as well as a hydrotherapy pool as well.
The Lauren Jackson Sports Centre is one step closer to undergoing a major expansion and redevelopment. The ambitious plans are before Albury Council, but today the project saw some high-level support.
To deliver something which will be quite transformational for Albury, but also for the broader region.
The critical thing is that council and the community are all on one page, and that means together we can seek the funding that we need. That hasn't always been the case, but now it is.
The proposal would see $150 million spent, which would include 3 more indoor courts, a year-round aquatic centre, gym, allied health services and upgrades to the PCYC.
The water is only one component of it. People in the community can meet and create networks and friendships and as a meeting place. And I think this would be a wonderful initiative for us to pursue.
This is going to be tens of millions of dollars, no question about that. I've seen similar indoor aquatic centres in other parts of regional Victoria costing the order of $50 million by themselves. So when you add extra basketball courts as well, it's going to be a very significant transformational project.
But while budgets are tight, the member for Farrer, Susan Lee, says this shouldn't prohibit the project from getting off the ground.
These financial and budgetary challenges are all around us in the Australian economy more broadly and in local and regional economies as well. But that doesn't mean that good projects should not be funded.
Council has already conceded the mammoth cost of a project of this scale can't be funded by ratepayers alone. So whether the expansion actually goes ahead will depend on if funding can be secured.
It's going to be up to our community to fight for the funding for this.
Claire Sienta, 7 News.
Disgruntled Optus customers are left perplexed by the underwhelming offer of compensation. The telco says it will offer affected customers 200 megabytes of data. Critics say the offer is underwhelming and doesn't cost Optus anything except for the losses of data they would have sold to their customers anyway. The Australian Chamber of Commerce, in the meantime, have deemed the response a clown show in the wake of Wednesday's outage. Optus has continued to apologise for the disruption today.
A car has been destroyed by fire in the early hours of this morning. At 4:30, witnesses say there was a small fire in the back seat of a black BMW on Elizabeth Mitchell Drive in Thurgoona, which was soon completely engulfed in flames. It wasn't long before emergency vehicles arrived to battle the blaze. It's understood the car had crashed into a tree just after 1 o'clock on Thursday morning.
Unfortunately, somebody didn't come and get the car fast enough, and somebody else wanted the wheels, and then somebody else wanted the firebombed as well. So it's just a pity. It was a P-plater's car, so it would have been a pride and joy. It's understood police are now investigating the incident.
Bright's famous Rod Run returns this year. The event has been running for more than 3 decades, and this year is set to welcome thousands of car lovers, providing a big boost to the northeast tourism.
Bright Rod Run has hit the streets again. With only a few years where it hasn't run due to COVID, the Bright Rod Run has welcomed car enthusiasts from across Australia for the past 31 years. Once again, there will be live music, a barbecue and a show and shine on Sunday set to entertain the crowds.
We estimate that somewhere between 15,000 and 20,000 people will come through the place over the next 3 days. So it's a massive event.
Bright Rod Run may be restricted to 500 entries, but more than 500 cars make their way to Bright to cruise its streets, many of which are blocked off to accommodate the spectacle.
We've got a collection of classic cars, so this is always a good event to come to.
And most of these people here aren't entries. They've just come because they want to be seen, they want to have a look at all the others. They all walk around and go, oh my. So yeah, no, it's fantastic.
We're just checking out cars and having a good time, good family atmosphere.
Great weekend, get up here with mates and just relax.
We're coming here for probably 30 odd years and we've been doing the same thing ever since. It's a good place to be.
Hotel and motel owners look forward to Bright's numbers swelling with visitors.
Tonight we have a busy night, tomorrow night extremely busy night, and no doubt everyone else that has a business in Bright will experience the same.
Soaking up all the weekend has to offer.
Last night we had a wonderful night. Everyone cruising around, people sitting down, cheering, clapping, and there's families everywhere.
Business owners say of the 34,000 beds in Alpine Shire, you'd be lucky if there's one available this weekend.
The number of people go, oh, we tried to get accommodation, we just can't get in. And that's our biggest issue. We just don't have enough beds.
With 3 decades under its belt, Bright Rod Run will continue to pass through generations.
Came as kids and then we're bringing our kids. So yeah, it's just what it's about. It's good.
Rochelle Punikovic, 7 News.
Traffic controls and a reduced speed limit of 40 kilometres per hour will be in place on the Hume Highway north of the border next week. There will be lane closures along a 12-kilometre stretch of the Albury bypass. Transport New South Wales say the works are needed to fix peeling and fading signage. To minimise the impacts to drivers, night works will be carried out between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. on weekdays.
The sod was turned on a healing garden at the Albury-Wodonga Aboriginal Health Service today. Under the hot sun, staff, Wiradjuri elders and community members joined in a welcome to country and smoking ceremony. Kids from Health Services Kindergarten helped turn the sod on what will be a place for healing and connection.
us that symbolism of we're turning the side, we're celebrating the fact that something's beginning, and we want to watch this place and watch this space as it continues to grow and to change, and we want to be part of that.
The garden will take shape on the land adjacent to the centre in Glenroy.
Insect and pest controllers have their work cut out for them over the last few days with more sightings of bees. One Wodonga pea plater took to social media after a huge swarm of bees covered the entire back window of the car. She's not alone. There have been plenty of other bee swarms around the region. The community is encouraged to make sure that they call on an expert and don't do it themselves if they want it removed. Well, Kirsty is here now for a look at today's weather. And Kirsty, we had some lovely sunshine for the end of our week.
We did, that's right, Nick and Maddie. Hello to you both and good evening, everyone. Sunny, settled conditions for our Friday. A little bit of scattered cloud overnight. And we also woke to some patches of fog around this morning. Our minimum temperatures around double digits in the low teens for many, but it did warm up, reaching the high 20s and the low 30s once again today. We've certainly felt the heat this week. The warmth in today's temperatures also assisted by east to northeasterly winds that were breezy this morning. Rutherglen and Myrtleford tops of 31 degrees and in Corryong a maximum of 29. Now maximums are about to soar even higher, the mid to high 30s tomorrow. Our fire danger risk increasing to a moderate level. I'll have our weekend forecast a little later.
It sure is going to be hot. Thanks, Kirsty. See you later.
Still to come in 7 News, Remembrance Day services being held right around the region tomorrow.
And the Sunshine Walk returns to the Murray River.
Welcome back. Remembrance Day services will be held around the region tomorrow to honour those who have died in the line of duty. In Albury, there will be a service held at St Matthew's Church at 10:30. Poppies are being sold in the lead up to the day, an enduring symbol of the First World War. Remembrance Day is observed every year on November 11th to mark the 11th hour of the 11th day in 1918 when World War I formally came to an end.
An historic night of celebration doubled as an opportunity to raise vital funds for a cause close to hearts across the region. The wider Riverina soccer community dug deep and gave generously to support one of their own.
The wider Australian soccer community wrapped its arms around Matilda's great Sally Shepard after the former Olympian revealed she'd been diagnosed with a rare form of ovarian cancer. Closer to home, members of the local football fraternity were looking for ways to lend their support and give back to the selfless sporting legend.
Sally's had a fair history of ovarian cancer and has been through a lot of treatments. And in talking with her and her family, it was decided that they would be a good organisation to support.
The Waggaran District Football Trust managed to raise $10,000 for the Ovarian Cancer Research Foundation through an auction held during last month's A Night of Football. Special guest and Socceroos coach Graham Arnold surprised the crowd with a signed Australian jumper, which fetched $6,000.
Takes a lot of raffle tickets to raise that sort of money.
They've been funding one person for 12 years in their research, and that research was come to fruition that within the next 2 to 3 years there will be a blood test that they can do for ovarian cancer, hopefully.
The Wagga Ovarian Cancer Awareness Group has been generating conversations and funds since 2020, the same year Tracy lost her mum to the disease.
My mum was stage 4 when she was diagnosed, that's why I do the fundraising.
Fundraising efforts will continue next month.
The Collins booksellers in Wagga, along with us, are holding a conversation with Yelena Dokic for her new book, Fearless. So tickets are on sale at the moment.
It's also hoped Arnold will return next year.
This was just an absolute experience for him to come to the country. He absolutely loved it. And as a result of it, we're hoping that he'll come back and join us later and probably early next year.
Steph Muir, 7 News.
Preparations are well underway for one of the border's biggest fundraisers. The Sunshine Walk will be held this Sunday with all funds raised being donated directly to the Albury-Wodonga Regional Cancer Centre. Many of those on the border and surrounding towns are expected to take part, but it hasn't just been limited to the region. An Albury family holidaying in WA have also completed their own walk for the cause. This year, the event will pay special tribute to the late John Watson, a staunch ambassador of the Sunshine Walk for many years.
This year's pretty special for all of us, I think, being able to walk and remember John Watson, who's been a huge part of both the Cancer Trust Fund and Sunshine Walks.
Registrations will remain open right up until the day for anyone who would like to join either the 20, 10 or 5 kilometre routes.
Still to come in 7 News, pressure on a cricket premiership favourite.
And a star Stingray on the comeback trail. Well, for the first time in years, North Albury has some early pressure in cricket. The Hoppers have lost 2 of their first 5 games and now face a side in white-hot form.
Generally, you would be hard-pressed to see North Albury lose any more than 1 or 2 games for the entire home and away season. But if they can't win at home against Corowa tomorrow, it will be a 3rd loss before Christmas.
Corowa has been really good. I'm not sure if Dan Smith, Dan Christian are playing. If they are, that's a different story, but can't see North Albury being 3-3 after 6 games. So they're such a good side. I think they'd bounce back from last week, and yeah, North Albury.
It's one of 2 genuine top games this weekend. The other sees top side and defending premiers Lavington at home taking on the side currently 2nd on the ladder, Belvoir.
Last year's premiers, this year's main challenger, you'd think at the moment. I'm going to go with Belvoir in that one, mate. I think they were pretty impressive last week. They potentially have Jen Simmons and the South African lad in. That's only going to make them stronger, so I think they might nearly get Lavy.
At Bearley Park in Wodonga, Raiders are coming off a 10-wicket belting, and it doesn't get much easier against St Pat's.
You know, you just have days like that, but it's a long way back, and you're playing against one of the better sides, so I think St Pat's will probably get that game.
Wodonga are yet to win, but this could be their chance against Albury, who have already lost to Barranduda.
Played pretty well last week against St Pat's, made 200, and we're probably going to win the game for most of the day. And right at the end, St Pat's nicked it off them. So I think they've got enough to beat Wodonga.
In round 6's final 2 games, East Albury should make it 5 wins against Barranduda, while Tallangatta are at home against the Phoenix for their clash, with New City looking for a first win of the season.
They've got Wodonga and Barranduda in the next 2 weeks, so if they get a good showing today, back on the back of last week, building towards next 2 weeks. But Tallangatta are at home, mate. They're just going to be too good, I think.
Stephen Murphy, 7 News.
Hume Cricket's 2 unbeaten sides go head-to-head tomorrow at Waller. Osborne and Waller have won their opening 4 matches, while Henty will move to 4th with a win over the Rock. In district cricket, Estar's chances of breaking their losing streak will be tough against undefeated top side Deterang. Meanwhile, in Wangaratta and district, Rovers, Benalla, Ovens Valley and City Colts are all expected to win their 2-day games. The last time Albury and Sharks met in men's water polo, it was one of the all-time greatest games. As they prepare to meet again, the competition's best players prepares to get himself back in the water.
Everyone knew Sharks would be title contenders this summer, but not many predicted this when they played Albury 3 weeks ago.
Murphy fetches it, goes back, Duck with a shot and ties it up. On the buzzer.
The duo meet again with Tigers coming off a rest and Sharks coming off another game that went down to the last shot.
I guess it's going to depend on who turns up on the day, and I think last time they played I was refereeing them and they went down right to the final attack, so I think this weekend could be a cracker too.
But perhaps the story everyone in the pool has been waiting for is when will Tyson Mitch return? Mitch has been coaching from the sidelines as he recovers from a broken thumb. The 21-year-old will join the Australian team for training next week in Sydney before returning to local waters.
I don't mind it too much. I enjoy helping out around the club and enjoying people grow, and especially our team's gone from the first couple of rounds to this round. It's been really good, so I think if I jump back in, it'll just complement what we've already been doing.
Mitch agrees the men's competition is wide open with no side yet settled with personnel. However, he believes Sharks remain the ones to watch in the water.
I think Sharks are going to just take a bit to beat as well, so they're been looking pretty good for the first couple of rounds this year, so it's going to be definitely a good game later on in the year. I think we'll go a long way.
In women's action, Sharks take on Stingrays. Stingrays have lost their past 3 games, while Sharks dropped their first game last weekend at the hands of Poole Pirates.
You just sense there's not going to be a lot between them. How about that from O'Connell?
Poole Pirates still undefeated and will meet an Albury side coming off their first win of the season.
Elects to be quite careful with the ball. Bowley should score and does.
Stephen Murphy, 7 News.
Still to come in 7 News, Kirsty is back and she's got your all-important weekend weather forecast. That's next.
Welcome back, everyone. A ridge of high pressure along the coast will influence more stable weather throughout our weekend, with clear skies and temperatures increasing. That heat will continue to build thanks to a trough over the inland and some warm northerly winds, which are dragging heat into the state and the northeast. Those winds will shift south to southwesterly ahead of the next wet weather system, which looks to move in from central Australia into early to mid next week. But the chance of rain does look very minimal right across Victoria. Most of those showers tracking further north into parts of New South Wales. We're not expecting any more than just a few millimetres over the border. To our weekend weather forecast first, though, we're bracing for a very hot Saturday tomorrow as temperatures soar well into the mid to high 30s for the northeast and jumping as much as 10 degrees above average. Mostly sunny in the morning, strong winds around, but there is a chance of a storm developing throughout the evening. Mansfield 31 degrees and a very hot 36 on the way for Wangaratta. That chance of storms most likely towards southeastern parts of our region. Into Sunday, those temperatures will drop back to the high 20s, but remaining sunny for the second half of the weekend. Albury and Corryong maximums of 28, the same at Cobram under sunny skies. We could wake to a little bit of fog. That's ahead of winds chopping and changing direction during the day. They will become southwesterly towards the evening, bringing a slight reprieve from some of our hot temperatures. In Mount Buller, 23 degrees and Shepparton a top of 25. And it's similar on Monday, a mostly clear and settled start to the new working week. Corryong 27 degrees and much the same for Rutherglen, but with those cooler southwesterlies blowing across the region. If we take a look ahead now, a bit of a drop headed our way on Wednesday, but remaining very warm until then. We're certainly bracing for wild conditions tomorrow. 35 degrees, well exceeding even our summer average.
It is sure hot. It sure is hot, that's for sure. So hot now I can hardly think.
I know, that's right.
Thanks, guys. You see you later. Now let's take a look at petrol prices around the region. You can find unleaded for $1.93 and diesel for $2.15 at Mobile in Albury. In Wodonga, 7-Eleven has unleaded for $1.93 and diesel for $2.15. Unleaded is $2.04 at Ampol in Yarrawonga and diesel is $2.19 at Mobile in Corowa.
And that is your local news for tonight and for the week. Thanks for watching. You can always catch up on our website or at 7plus.
Goodness, it's the weekend. 7 News from Melbourne is coming up next. We'll see you on Monday night.